Extreme here with day 8 of 10 days of statues. Sometimes shipping statues throws a curveball at you. Today we were going to review on day 8 a brand new custom quarter scale red Hulk that I got in. But there was a curveball. So it shipped last week and I got a notification that it would arrive today. So I didn't really think much more about it, but I was planning on reviewing it today. And I looked at shipping this morning. It's still in China. So that's not going to happen. But if you watch my previous days, you know I got a bunch of Prime 1 statues in this week that I haven't unboxed yet. So I thought I'd take something a little bit different. You know, we've done Marvel, we've done DC, we've done some weird shit. So let's do some video game statues, even though technically we did M. Bison on day 3, I think it was. It's all blurring together now. So we are going to do a video game statue, and I just have to say...
Hail, Holy Queen enthroned above, oh Maria. Hail, Mother of Mercy and of Love, oh Maria. Triumphal ye cherubim, sing with us ye seraphim. Heaven and earth resound the hymn, Salve, Salve.
Extreme here with quarter scale Prime 1 Lady Maria of the Astral Clocktower from Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a video game that I've never played before, but I pick up a few pieces from video games I've never played before, mainly if they just look badass. As you guys know, I have a big Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat collection, and I'm not much into video games nowadays. My children are. I just don't have time. I play with toys instead. But purchased her and the Hunter, which is also coming from Prime 1. That should be shipping at any time. For 2 reasons. One, I think she just looks badass, and I really like the look of her. 2, so there's more than 2 reasons actually. 2, her price point was pretty decent. She was $530, which for a quarter scale statue from Prime 1, that is a good deal. And 3, she's a throne. You guys know I love thrones. I have a big throne collection, and she's going to be kind of a miscellaneous one, so she'll be next to Sharon Stone and Sharon Stone, Emperor from Star Wars, and then a few other weird thrones I have coming in that don't fall into the Marvel or DC line. For now, I'm going to put her on a shelf that has movies and DC because I need to build another Maji case. So it'll look like this. I haven't seen this yet, so again, I'm showing you guys a picture before I see it, and I need to hook up the lighting on this Maji case as well. Came with assembly instructions, which is pretty stupid because there's 4 pieces. If you can't figure out 4 pieces, God help you. It's the base, Lady Maria, her feather, and then her arm holding her sword and sheath. So pretty easy to put together, not really rocket science. They actually made 3 versions of these, and they ranged in price from $530 to $600. This one is a limited edition, so I don't know how many they made. I think mine was number 300 and something, so not quite clear. The difference between this and the next step is the next step, here's a picture right here, actually has a table next to it. So this is the regular, normal version, and they made 850 of these. Or I'm sorry, they made 1,500 of these. And then the exclusive version is the same thing, but it has a cup. And they made 850 of these. So if you're doing the math, it's like, my God, they made over 2,500 of this statue. And if you guys are like me and don't play video games, you never really heard of this character before. So that's really surprising to me that Prime 1 would do that. And what's even more surprising is they're sold out of most of them. Go figure. So dimensions, really quick. About 12-inch diameter, and the height of the chair is about 19.5. For exact dimensions, go to Prime 1's website. I believe Sideshow carried some of these too. This one with the smaller base and no table, which I like because it doesn't take up room, is only available through Prime 1. It's what we call a Prime 1 exclusive. The other Prime 1 exclusive I have is quarter scale Bloody Guts. It's at my office. Here's a picture, not mine, but the picture of it, the complete bloody one. So they only sell that through Prime 1, which back in the day when we ordered in the US, most of us ordered everything through Sideshow. That was kind of restricted, but now with other things going on, it's really not. But Trying to think anything else I missed. Oh, packaging. So here's the art box. Going to try and show this more and more often. And then it was just standard Prime 1 foam, 4 pieces. I was going to do an assembly until I found out how easy it is. But without knowing a lot about this character, let's talk about the concept and design. And I can tell you what I've read and what I've looked up. So first of all, she is a hunter. The game is full of hunters. That's what Bloodborne's about. It's a role-playing game, and I don't believe you can be this character. Someone who knows more can educate me. I think she's a boss you fight against. So she lives in the Astral Clocktower, whatever the fuck that is. And I think this pose, if I'm accurate that she's a boss that lives there and that's where you go fight her, I think this pose is iconic. I think it's perfect because she's a badass boss. She's a hunter. She kills things. She has blood, and she's sitting there waiting. She is sitting there waiting. I much imagine when my 9-year-old daughter starts dating, I will be doing the exact same pose, except I can't cross my legs, and I will have a gun instead of a sword, waiting for her to get back on dates. And she's very stoic. You can't see her face at all, which when we do the paint and sculpt, we'll show close-ups. She has this very stoic face that looks like she's waiting. So I like how they did that. I like the antiqueness of it, you know, kind of an older era. Reminds me of, you know, pre-industrial revolution, or right at the time the industrial revolution started. So really, really cool concept, and I think that's why I like this so much. It's just really unique. Paint and sculpt on it is very good too, which is clearly not a surprise with Prime 1. It's hard to find a Prime 1 piece nowadays that doesn't look great. So let's start at the base here. Right around the sides of the base, they have, it's kind of this black circular base with this golden rustic symbols all over it. I can't really tell what they are, even as I stare at them now. It's really interesting. I don't know if it's something from the game, and they have these silver kind of perforations, or I don't know what to call them, spikes kind of coming up, and it's really, really dusty too. But it's just crazy to me how it's dusty and it was a brand new piece. And moving to the top, the floorboards look awesome. They look really, really good. Not only the coloring of the brown and black, but the grain in them and the sculpt and how some of them are buckling up throughout different parts of the statue. It's just an awesome looking base. And around the side of it, they do have this kind of gold trim with squares. Not sure what, or more bronzy than gold. Not sure what that's supposed to be, but it looks really cool. Then Lady Maria. See what I did there? Lady Maria's boots, starting there. Check out her boots. She has these knee-high boots that are laced up from bottom to top, and just great, great sculpt on this with the folds and the laces, and at the top kind of the flaps that overlay it. And there's these different colorizations in there from browns and a little bit of golds and black. Very nice job. Again, very reminiscent of the time I think this statue is supposed to represent. And then her pants. Very, very similar, but a different shade. So it looks very similar, but it is a different shade. And again, great seams, great folds, great coloring. Then I want to look at her jacket starting at the bottom. So first of all, there's this trim on the jacket which has some symbols on it that look like the symbols that are on the outside of the base, which is kind of neat, this golden touch to them. The inside of the jacket, the only part you can see the inside is at the bottom here. It's this maroon, reddish type color, and there's rips and folds, so it's like an old jacket she's been wearing or fighting in for a long time. The outside of this jacket also has symbols all over it. It's crazy, the detail on this. The digital sculpting must have been just nuts. And again, they did a great job with folds and just the rustic feel of it. And that's followed up to the front of the jacket here. You can see a little bit of the vest she's wearing on the inside, but the really cool part is the scarf coming down and the paint on it. I wish the statue was a little more bloody, but I think that's really classy, the way they did the blood right there. It looks real. It's kind of got this reflection effect to it. And then her scarf, very tattered, very dirty, and she has these green jewels she's wearing. And then jumping back to her gloves, these thick leather gloves look really good. This almost looks like a man. I thought it was when I first saw it in pictures, before I read more up on the character. A lot of skinny mannish features. Sword looks awesome. Again, there's all these symbols and detail all over it. And instead of gold, it's this silver and black hue. And what's interesting to me is at least the sheath of the sword is really thick, but the hilt is very, very skinny. So I'd have to check out more pictures of the video game to see what her sword actually looks like. But it's very long. It's probably, you know, in relative to her, about 80% of her height if she was standing up. Then looking at her hat again follows that same type of material her shoulder pads of her coat looked like, which we haven't looked at yet. Very rustic, very brown, leathery feel. And then the feather. The feather looks okay. By the way, it falls out all the time, so that is a miss on design. And before we look at her portrait, the chair, there's some padding on it that looks good. It's not much padding. She's probably uncomfortable sitting there on her ass waiting all the time, especially with a skinny ass. But some cool detail in it. It doesn't look as cool as she does. Her hair looks great. Some cool strands. I like the different ways it's flowing. I think this is why I thought she was a male, because typically you don't see females with this color of hair. It's very similar to the color of her feather, the light gray and black that's in there. And then checking out her portrait here, great job on her portrait, and it's a shame it's facing down. She looks really good. I mean, the skin tones, the way her lips are pursed, her eyes, that expression is just priceless. I think Prime 1 knocked it out of the park, but you can't really see it. But it's really cool to know that a company still spends that much time, effort, and detail on the pieces you're not regularly going to see on the statue. Of course, an argument can be made that the face is pretty damn important. So that's wrapping up day 8 of day 10 of statues. Let me know what you think of this piece. Let me know what weird pieces that you've bought that you're not really a fan of, maybe where the character comes from, but you just bought it because the character looks good. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Days 9 and 10 are coming the next 2 days, and I will tell you this, 1 custom, 1 license. They are both in the last 2 Avengers movies. So they're Marvel, obviously. So I said so a lot. Sorry about that. Take care.